Hi there. Good evening, everyone. I trust you're doing wonderfully well. Um, can you see my screen? Can anyone see my screen, please?
Yep, can see your screen.
That's it. Brilliant. Right, so got a few people joining in today. Um, there, there was some problem with the recording of the last session, so I'm going to have to re-record that and upload that. Hence why you've not been able to have access to it. So hopefully it should be going up between today and tomorrow for the last session. Today, we are going to kick off and we're going to be talking about configuring the sales settings. That's what we're going to focus on today. If you were here on Saturday, you realize that we covered configuring the model-driven application and also configuring forms and configuring the views for the Dynamics 365 sales. I delved a little bit deeper into how you actually create the create relationship, create tables, that sort of stuff. So please do go over the videos or the video to bring yourself up to speed. Today we are going to be talking about configuring the sales settings. As I've said earlier on, it is part of the configure sales settings section of the exams, and that it obviously would be consistent about 35 to 40%. So from configuring the user interface to configuring the sales, configuring the process, the visualization, sales visualizations, and sales accelerator, as well as evaluating the sales licensing. So all of that consists of 35 to 40% of the exam. So if you know it, then you're comfortable with it, then you should be comfortable with the exam. That's 40% done and dusted, yeah? So today's agenda, we're going to focus on configuring sales settings, but what that means is configuring the sales territories and hierarchical sales territories, and also configuring auto number settings for quotes, orders, invoices, and other of the out of the box configurable tables or entities, if you like. Also, we're going to be looking at configuring the currencies and fiscal years and understanding what that means. Also, we're talking about sales and sales security roles and how to actually configure them, and what assets, teams, and template actually mean. Then we're going to dive really quickly into sales literature. We're going to look at how to configure the hierarchical security, or how that means, or what that actually means. And then look at how to configure and utilize the assistant. So configure as well as configuring the business card scanner control. Right. So as I normally do with starting off this session, I try to go over giving you a very good summary of what we intend to do, and more importantly, why we're doing what we're doing. So, we know the Dynamics 365's sales, the whole idea of using Dynamics 365 sales is so you can have is for you to be able to, have an efficient process in carrying out your sales activity, right? So what configuring your sales means is that you're able to customize efficiency. So you can then say you can tailor your Dynamics 365 sales to your specific sales process for maximum efficiency. Also, when you configure your sales settings, you're essentially enhancing collaboration. So if you're talking about optimizing territories and teams, and creating those kind of structures, then you are going to be enabling your teams to enable to seamlessly collaborate. And then we're talking about, it gives you configuring sales settings, allows for error-free tracking, so you can obviously, you don't necessarily need to have you don't have to worry about, I have a case record, or I have a sales record, or a contact record. How can I uniquely identify that contact record? All of that is being sorted out for you. So there's no error in tracking a particular field or transactions or something like that. And then, of course, global readiness means that you can configure the currencies and fiscal years. So if you're a company, or you're working for a company as an international company, you can actually configure the sales fiscal year, as well as configure the currency. So it could be, especially if you're trading in different currencies, you want to be able to know how to do that. Also, you've got the sales security, you've got the data security, because you want to be able to obviously make sure that you're granting the right people the right amount of access to critical data. So you're making sure that data are protected. Making sure that data are protected. Also, you want to make sure, of course, that you're, that you manage your sales literature. So when you're, sorry, I'm just taking that off briefly. So that when you're having conversations around, I think someone is waiting. Me.
Take the bundle. Oh, basis strategy. Or your systems that you don't complete.
So if you're coming in, kindly mute yourself once again. We all know, so we can all go with the flow and understand what's being said. Yeah, so you basically want to be able to essentially, when you're sending emails and you're having conversations with clients, or potential opportunity, you want to be able to send an article or about products or whatever, to give the clients a bit more information in terms of what they're getting themselves into, or the product they're buying, or something of that nature. Of course, ultimately, you want to then leverage AI to help to guide you in information, and Dynamics 365 allows for you to be able to configure the sales app for that same purpose. And finally, it also enables you to extract very important information with regards to your, say, for example, your contacts, your contacts, your account, so you can identify important information that enables you to be able to communicate with the user, such as a business card detail. Right. So first, we go straight into configuring sales territories and hierarchical sales territories. So yeah, so like I've mentioned there, there's essentially two things there: sales territories, as well as hierarchical sales territories. Sorry, I've got a bit of cold, so bear with me in my voice. So essentially, you want to overall improve sales and potential, sales potentials, as well as revenues. And the way you want to do that is that you can, an organization, can have strategic segmentation, which means they can divide their market into geographical geographical segments, as well as business domains. So geographical segments would be, for example, you've got a UK and Ireland area, geographical area, and under that you have different cities or business units under those unique segments. Of course, you can have business domain as well, which can either be, for example, that could be perhaps people that are tailored, a team, for example, that is tailored towards only AI product sales. So you can have designated domain sales, and you can use your territories to be able to create that, so that you have dedicated, defined rule segments for essentially strategic segmentation to enable you to define, you know, what this person or what this group is doing, and eventually tie up with the profit and the financials that comes out of that area as well. So you want, of course, to be able to focus on the individual expertise, hence why you're creating this different segmentation. So once you create the segmentations, either for geographical segmentation or business domain, you assign skilled a salesperson to those territories, and what it does is it enables them to also specialize and excel within the designated area, right? So that's what what sales territory essentially allows you to do. It enables you to link financial to territories, so you can actually look at the have a good sense of your revenue, be able to analyze the revenue, simplify the financial assessment. So ultimately gaining a holistic view of the associated revenue opportunities within that specific territory or domain for better decision making. So the next point here is amplifying sales impact. So of course, when you have territory focus, right, a member within the territory shares a common vision, right? Common vision, common consolidated effort, on service or sales. That's what you want to achieve. Hence why you're defining this territory and putting these users there. And of course, it's a logical definition. And also I talked about, again, direct correlation of financials with the excuse me, with the territories, and also based, of course, on the territory type and the size, you can optimize your sales approach. Also, you can also visualize, your territory. So here I've got a point here that says visualizing territory excellence. So you got a hierarchical view where you utilize the out-of-the-box territory hierarchical relationship to create a visual representation of your territories. And of course, you've got your structure model, which means that you're able to craft a model that captures the hierarchical of sales territories, enhancing organization clarity. And ultimately, you're able to leverage this whole infrastructure or this setting to strategize and refine sales territory, refine your sales impact. Yeah, right. It's a bit of a mouthful, that is. So to configure a sales territory, you essentially go into your Dynamics 365 Sales app. You go to the advanced setting if you're using a classic web interface, and when you click on the setting icon just right there, and then you click on your sales territory. You can see there, click on sales territories, and create new sales territories and assign territories managers, and add, remove users, modifying territory information, and delete territories. Pretty much what you could do there. Of course, the sales territory can be used for Dynamics 365 Sales as a part of the Dynamics 365 Business application. It can also be used for your customer service, as well as your marketing and project service automation. Yeah, so it's not just necessarily for the sales application. So it's just worth mentioning that. Yeah. So now, the first option we saw was you configuring it using your classic web interface, right? So basically, just means just gonna. I hope you can still see my screen. Yeah. Okay. So if I see if this goes away, content only. Right, so if I, okay, it's gone away. So if I come here to, so if I come to if I go to the settings, okay, not here. So if I come here, you can see that I've got sales territories. Yeah. So if I was here, for example, or if I were in one of the applications, see if I've got the application on, because that's typically where you'll be. Let's just refresh that. You would normally come here in the sales up. So you go to advanced settings. It brings you right to your settings. You go straight to business business management, and it's right here, sales territory. So you click on it, you can see. So that's using the web client interface, right? The other interface that you could use is obviously your is using your model-driven application. So you can use your model-driven application. You go to your app settings, and it's right there. So if I just demo that as well, go straight in here. So this is my Dynamics 365. I come right at the bottom there. I click on here. You can see I've got my app settings, and in my app settings, under the sales administration, I've got the sales territories. And if I click into it, you can see that I've defined three sales settings. I've got the United States, and I've got South America, and I've got Central America. Right. So this is the United States. It doesn't have any parents, but if you look, it's got sub territories. So this is the hierarchical nature that I was alluding to earlier on. So you've got so this would be, say, sales team for the entire United States. This would be the subcategories, sub-territories. Again, remember that these can be linked to financials. Yeah. All right. So if you want to add a new child and parent, all you have to do is come over here, creates new, and you can add a new parent. If you wanted to just go back, want to add a child, subcategories, sub-territories rather, you come and you click here, and automatically it will assign this. Of course, you can assign a manager. You can assign a manager. In like I've assigned a manager here. Right, now you can visualize the parental hierarchy. So if you were to go, for example, go to the sales territory, you can see here there is an icon here. All right. In this icon, if I click the United States icon, you see that I can see the United States and I can see the hierarchy. You can see that this is the parent. You've got Central America and South America under the United States, right? Territories. Yeah, that's straightforward. So if you want a manager to manage multiple territories, then assign a manager to parent sales territory, because a manager can only manage one sales territory. It's important to remember that manager can only manage one sales territories, right? So if you want them to be able to manage, to be able to manage more, then you just make them manager of the parent, and that management capability essentially equals down to the other children territories, right? It's important to know that out of the box security rules required to create sales territories and assign sales to sales territories are the account manager. So if you have an account manager, sales manager, just remember what the term there to think about is manager, account manager, sales manager, vice presidents of sales, CEO, business manager, system administrator. Those are the guys that will be able to configure this. Remember that the system customizer security rule, even though they might have put it there, it doesn't really allow. Microsoft might have put it in as part of documentation. It doesn't really allow you to create sales territory, but you can read and write and modify it. Yeah, so it's important to note that. Another thing to note is that you can associate your sales territory with product list. I did mention earlier on that you can begin to the whole idea of sales territories is that you can use it and trace it back to the financials, how much sales was made by this set of this group, this territory, United States, maybe United Kingdom and Northern Ireland. How many sales was made in London, for example, that sort of stuff. So you see that you can create the way you can someone's saying something. Can you please mute yourself. Okay. Right. So if you want to link the price list, which is typically what you're going to be using when you're selling, making sales to your clients, using price lists, associating that with products and things like that. You basically create what we call a connection, right? So you create a connection, and the way you do that is you go to, you see in there, in the same app settings, you go under the product catalog, you can see there, you got your price. I'm just gonna use right here, laser point. So right here, you see here you got the price list, yes. And then you basically just go and you click on you click on the create connections, and then when you create connections, you can then connect you can see the if you go to the price list, you can see it's got territory relationship and create relationship between. You see it's got a defined role, and you can select your territory there. Yeah. I'm not going to do the demo for that just because of the time. Okay, so the other thing that we want to also learn today is obviously configuring auto number settings for invoices, order, and cases. So, you may not know this, but you may not know this, or you may know this, but there are out of the box, tables that's part of the sales solution. You've got capability to, for example, configure auto number for contracts, cases, article quotes, orders, invoices, marketing campaigns, categories, and knowledge articles, right? So an auto number, if you don't know, just means a number that is automatically created and has a kind of incremental to it, a mechanism to it. So in this, obviously automatically created and uniquely assigned a unique number. So if your organization has a standard numbering format, for example, maybe 3 characters, prefixes before, number of formats a format for numbers following the characters, you can actually pre-configure that and say when you're creating a new quote, it should start with XYY hyphen 1 2 3 4 5. You give that detail there. The auto number setting dynamic specifiers for sales allow you to manage the settings for quotes, order, and as I mentioned before. And you can change the prefix and the length of the suffix. So essentially, you go to your platform environment, right? You go to the data management side and you click auto numbering, or it comes up and it shows you this option, right? And you can actually view once you've set it up, for example, for a quote, you can basically come and see the number it's being built for you there. So it's important to easier for you. I put the image there, so it's easier for you to. Sorry, looks like there is I'm having the same problem with this. I need to on. It's not. Come down. Right, sorry, gonna have to. I'm having problems with. Oh, there we go. It's gone now, I think. Yeah. Right. So, so if we go back to products, you can see. So we want to configure our invoices, auto number. So if we go to our platform admin, I think I have that here somewhere. Right. Go to platform admin, select the particular environment. Right. So that's admin Power Platform. That's taking me to team. That's not what I want. So if I come back to here, back, and I go to my settings, see I have data management here, and I have my auto numbering. So I click on that, it basically opens up. You can see that, right? Cases already has one. You can see this is cast. I can change it to TXT, right? So you can see the preview there. TXT. If I create a new case, that's what I'm going to get. TXT something, and I've got the number of suffix length of numbers. So I can say I want 6, or I want 5, or I want 4. So if I say I want 4, and I click on that, so I would have 6. So you can see there, I've got 1, 2, 3. It's the first text followed by a number. Yeah, so that's 5. That's 4. Change to 4. We change this 5. That changes. This changes to 5. And if we put that as 6, that changes to 6. Yeah, right there. So if I leave it at 6, click OK. Right, I've changed it to I'm just waiting for that. It's taking a while to load. Rather, just wondering why. Okay. All right, so that's taking a bit of a while, but I'm going to close that. If I go back, come back to my sales environment, come up here and go to the sales, and then quotes, go on quote. And I don't know what I did. Was a quote? Very random quotes. It's a mandatory ID. This is mandatory. This is mandatory. Test quotes. Opportunity on customer. Just use something random customer. Click on save. So you see it's got a quote. It's got a quote ID there. If I go to the number in it, I can't remember which one we did now. Was that the case? The case. That's the case. You can see the quote is the one here. Case. If I say case, just for the fun of it. It's having difficult. I'm not sure whether Microsoft have been having a lot of problems with the APIs and services today. So I'm not sure if that's what's delaying it, but technically that's what's going to happen. You will have the capability to see that it's got the first 3 characters, it's got the letter, and then this is defining the other characters, the number of characters that follows afterwards. Yeah. Right. So let's go back to the PowerPoint. So So that's that. So let's go to configuring currencies and fiscal year. So Dynamics 365 essentially sales wants to give you a seamless experience that for your business operations, right? It wants your business operation to work seamlessly, right? Hence why you need to be equipped to have the right set of configurations, like how many currencies do I need, fiscal year that affects my financials, because obviously the regular calendar year is separate from a business fiscal year, right? And of course, organizations sometimes work with one currency, but more often they can actually they for those that trade across geographical areas, and sometimes they might not be able to transact using, for example, US dollars. Hence, they have to create different currencies. Of course, have a base currency that then they are able to then use to, in a sense, configure the so, for example, if you've got the pound, for example, if the pound is the base, you should be able to configure the exchange rates between the pound and maybe a dollar or whatever other local currencies that you're operating with within your business as a salesperson, right? So you or your customer, of course, might be in different geographies, which needs the sales cycle to follow a respective fiscal year or financial year. Yeah, just separate or different. So if you want to, what you're looking at there is how you can go to configure your currencies in the fiscal year. So you can see there, if you go into your business settings like the one we've gone earlier on, and you could go to either click this to get to set your fiscal year, and currencies to set your currencies essentially. I highlighted the region of formatting, but that's not correct. So it's your currencies as well as your calendar. I will talk about that later on. So if you want to configure your fiscal year, you go to your calendar, and if you want to configure your currencies, you go to your PAT platform. We are in the PAT platform, so you could do it via the web interface, right? The old client web client interface, or you could do it via the model-driven application. But that still brings you here, to be fair. That when you click on it, it still brings you down here, because Microsoft's still working and migrating that over, I believe. Migrating the UI for that over into the platform. Right. So this is what it looks like when you're configuring your currency. So if I so I can come here and I can come to my someone is trying to join me. Right, so you've got so you've got your business. So under the business, when you go to this is the admin platform admin center, admin.platform.com and .microsoft.com. You go to your specific environments, click on this specific environments, so it's try environments, go to oops. Let's try environment. Oh gosh, what's going on? Okay. Then click on settings, and then you go under the business. You can see you got your calendar there, and you got your currency. So if I click one to open that and another to open it, you can see that brings you back to your client, your web client, basically. It's loading, so fiscals. Right, it's taking a while. Just going to cancel and refresh that as well. Press that because sometimes the way Microsoft, you have to refresh this. Right, so while that's loading, I think we're just going to move forward in the PowerPoint, wait for that to complete load. Once you click on the new button, which is right here, right, for your currencies, it brings this up. you can see if you double click on the existing one that comes out of the box, like this is one when you're creating your environment, which you're storing all of your different solutions. We talked about that a couple sessions ago. Creating, you need your environment as a logical store for all the different solutions that you're configuring for your sales applications. Yeah, all of your applications are stored here, all of your forms, security roles, and relationships, dashboard, all of that you're storing it. You're storing the solution which sits inside the environment, right? So when you configure the environment, you'll typically configure the currency as well. When you're creating your creating a new environment in your Power Platform. So just for the sake of those here, so if I were to come here, for example, go back to environment, and I say I want a new environment, and I just do something random, sandbox. Yeah, go through this process. Basically, it will give me an option to then, if I say yes, see next. See, now I'm able to configure the language, but also I can configure my currency. Yeah, it's my base currency. That's why I wanted to show you there. This is still going on. Wow. Okay. So once you click on that, when you click on it, sure, why it seems like folks are going in and out. Is it because there's a problem with the connections or something? Right. So then you now have, once you click on the new right there, new, you can then enter the currency code. If you're using system, right? What it means is that system are already pre-configured currencies. Yeah. So this is the ones that comes out of the box with the sales application. You go into it. You already have the code there, and then you can determine the number of precision you want, maybe 2 decimal places or 6 decimal places or something like that. But occasionally you want to create your own custom ones that's not there, maybe cryptocurrency, for example, which is doesn't usually come, and then you can define what the conversion is, say from the base currency, which will be your pounds, which will be your default currency, to that cryptocurrency amount, right? Now, of course, it's important to note that you can go as far as up to 10 decimals, and for the base, I believe, from the base currency you can go up to 10 decimal places, I believe, but the maximum currency on the maximum precision on a currency is 4 decimal places. Yeah. So it's important to note that. Now, this is an example of the configured currency. So you can see here, you got the out of the box one, but the Bitcoin one there is the one that would have been selected as a custom currency type of a custom, right? So important to remember that. Custom currency type is the one that is not didn't come out of the box, and you cannot select them. So you have to basically create one for yourself. Now look and see. Oh, there we go. Fiscal year is opened up, and where are we? Business. So you have your currencies here. Click on your currencies. You have your British pounds there. If you click on the new, you can see that you got the custom system one. You can search for a pre-configured one, and you can select, say euro, for example, right, or dinar. No, euro, yeah, euro. You can see there you got position. If you put 6, well, you got the currency, and then you can see that euro to a pound. You can put the conversion there. So you can say 2.5 or something like that. Yeah, so you can see here the base conversion, you can see the decimal point is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right. So, but if you want to configure something new, then you have to define it, of course, and save and close. You can see I've created a custom one. Right. And for the fiscal year, you can see here you can essentially select your fiscal year. You can set whether it's quarterly or annually. And you have a template, so fiscal period templates, which we're going to talk about in a bit as well. If I were to select, for example, annual, see it's changing here. P1, if I were to change it to quarterly, changes it here as well, and then you can select your format dates, year, and you just click OK, really. Right, okay, let's move on. So time, so quite a bit to go through. So yeah, you've seen an example of configuring your currencies. Now, user can also set their own personal options for default currencies. So what should be your default currency? Should be pounds, should be, users, they have the right to do that. More importantly, it's important to know that exchange rate changes are manually managed, right? So if something changes, if you have change in a pound against the dollar, you have to come in here and actually change the currency conversion, unless you have an automated AI, an AI process that does that for you, but you will have to manually do that. So each user can set their own default currencies. So on account, leads, contact product price list, discount list, you can define a default currency field for that. So once you have, you've essentially set up default currency on these accounts or these records, then you can then start a new transaction. You can create and that transaction would default to that currency. You can create related tables, for example, an opportunity from a lead or that sort of stuff, and it will retain the default currency. Say, for example, account, creating an opportunity from an account, then you are able to retain the currency assigned to that current user. So how do you set up your user personal option for default currency? You go to the settings, click on options, you see the set personal option pops out, and then you click on this bit here, and then you automatically click on your preferred default currency. Yeah. So when we talk about currencies when you're creating currencies, if you look at the currency information on the right side, it essentially has three fields that it automatically creates. The first is the currency lookup, which when you click on it, it's a lookup to the actual currency table. Then the next two is about the first one is the actual currency value, as is money value, where the other one is the base currency value. So you can see there you got the British pounds 1,000, and then the British pounds 1,000, and then the euro is about 10,000. Yeah, so it's important to understand that. And of course, if a developer creates the money if the developer creates the money field or using the money field, they have to recognize that this is what it's a play under the hood. So currency lookup is whatever currency is required. and then the money is essentially is an editable field for the current currency value, and of course the money value base refer to the base currency that you're doing the exchange rate to the current or the local currency. Yeah. So configuring your fiscal year, I've kind of run through that. So of course, your customer might be different geographies, or geographical area, and the essentially sales cycle is different. So you want to configure that period. So why do you want to do that? For reporting and goal setting purposes. So you can associate your goals, your fiscal periods, and be able to at the end of this, look at how you've performed, right? Companies obviously operate not necessarily based on January to December. Some is April to April. Some is September to September. That sort of stuff. So you want to configure your fiscal years, because the standard calendars are different for organizations' fiscal periods. Now, you can also link goals to fiscal periods. So goals are date bound and can be associated with fiscal periods. So think of goals as the objectives that you want to achieve as an organization. You're setting a goal that we want to do this and do that, and you can associate that with your fiscal period. So in this fiscal period, the first quarter, we want to achieve 200,000 revenue, that sort of stuff. 200,000 or 200 million your company so reach. And then, of course, when defining a fiscal period, you can associate the fiscal period to that particular goal that you defined earlier on. And fiscal periods can be set monthly, quarterly, like you've seen we've done it previously. And managing fiscal year settings in the classic web, of course, that's how I showed you earlier on. You just go to the settings, business management, and voila, you're there. So you can see there, but in the model-driven app, you can go via your Power Platform, admin Power Platform, like I've done before. You click on the calendar, it brings you back to the web client. You click on the fiscal year settings, and you're back in the same place. And you can see there, you can set it annually, semi-annually, quarterly, monthly, in a 4-week period. You can set and obviously associate that with goals, right? So the use case, of course, is you can actually, once you've set the fiscal years and it's fiscal policy, you can actually then go to your opportunity and do a filter on your opportunity, for example, to say, how many actual close dates have I got within this particular fiscal year, or this particular fiscal period. So you can see how many opportunities you've closed this year, right? So that's a very good use case, which obviously translates into money, right? And of course, we see what you're seeing there is, when creating a goal, and the logic used to decide if the fiscal period should be monthly will be driven by the fiscal year setting. So when you're creating a goal, you can see it's a goal that's being created there. It's not telling you, hold on a second, and the fiscal setting of your organization has changed since the time this goal was. This is an old goal, so it's telling you, can you align it? So you've got a button at the top there where you can align with your fiscal period, the one that you set. We're not delving deeper into goals, but you can deal with that. You can in your own time go over it. Now, configuring security, sales security roles is the fourth thing we plan on dealing with, which and access team templates. First thing to know is that there are predefined security roles that comes with Dynamics 365 Sales. Of course, the security roles gives you a set of access levels and permissions, tells you what type of data you can access and to what level of access you're granted. So the combinations of the access levels and permissions are included in a specific security role. And you get the maximum amount of combination of the different roles you have. You've been assigned will give you access to whatever table views or whatnot that you've been assigned to. So now the predefined security roles that Dynamics 365 includes are your sales manager role, your salesperson security roles, and a whole lot of other roles that can be that comes as part of it. You can create your own role and of this other roles and tweak it as you like, really. These roles obviously are divided into administration and customization roles, primary sales roles, functional roles, app access roles, and internal roles. So if you go to administrator roles, you can configure anything, right? So it applies to sales premium, professional, includes, in configuring, installation, customizing, managing, and all that kind of stuff. Customizer, focus on these ones because primary sales roles, your vice president roles, right, for sales, which means you can manage your organization. Remember, we talked about vice president, manager earlier on, sales manager. This will allow you to manage your territories, right? Remember that. The salespersons who can work on opportunity quotes and so can access everything from lead to invoice and can create accounts and contact and track goals, but nothing that more than that, essentially. So you've got the functional goal, which is your forecast manager, and you can see that. So I wouldn't dwell too much on this one. The app role is getting access. So if you don't have a sales team access role, you probably will not be able to access. So user who needs access to the sales team member app, this obviously includes users who do not need full capabilities. A sales team member app, that if you don't need full capability, creation, just read. You need a read access. Then you want to be able to. You're going to be assigned a sales team member, and you'll be giving this sales team member license as well. Yeah. Right. So options. So in terms of security, how do you leverage security within your Dynamics 365 sales? How does that work? So, for example, users can be given if you're a user, you can be assigned to a business unit. So every user will be assigned to a business unit. They will have and they will be automatically assigned to the business unit default team roles as well. Users can be assigned directly to a security role or can be assigned to a team, right? And teams obviously just means that users contains user membership, and the team also has its own security role. So you can assign a security role to a team, and users that are in that team will inherit the security roles that are in that team. So security roles are defined. So we talked about the assets and the privileges that you have, right? Now, business units are fundamental building block in the dynamic security model because they essentially define the organizational structure. So, for example, you can see on the right there, you've got business rules there. So if I'm a manager of, say, NP Dynamics Limited, right? If I'm a manager of that, then I can see the sales data. I can see the sales record for international sales as well as the UK sales. So I have two-level deep access to read some of this data, right? And this is where the hierarchical security also helps. But before that, you've got the field level security, which gives you granular level security for specific. So if you don't want to use it to see, for example, the national insurance number, you can restrict that particular field, create what we call a field security profile that only people that are assigned to that field security profile will be able to view it, right? The hierarchical security obviously support a security model based on someone's hierarchy. So I'm a manager, I have this position, I'm a manager, I have this position, this person is under me, and so I can view the data that they have and the data of people under them, that sort of stuff, right? And the position, which is another type of solution or security solution, defines, again, supports the hierarchy security model. So this position, I am a manager, and this is I'm a senior manager, this is a junior manager, and then they have managers and they have people that they manage underneath. Yeah. Now, I wouldn't go too much details, but because of time, but we have Dynamics 365 has a root business, which is the top layer, the top layer business. It's called the root business, and it cannot be renamed. Sorry, it can be renamed, but it cannot be deleted, right? And then or disabled, right? And you cannot move the root business to another root business, that sort of stuff. You can't do that. You can create, sub business units out of this business unit and what and assign them. You can have set your security assets based on based on organization-wide assets or sub business units assets, and we will see that in a bit. So the parent business unit on a new business unit will always default to the root, but can be changed, right? So very important things to also point to note here is that child business unit can be renamed, child business unit can be disabled, and child business unit can be deleted, but only after it's been disabled, right? Right. So final tip here. Child business unit can be moved under a new parent, and if you do that, it will obviously it will remove all of the different users and all that kind of stuff underneath it. Yeah. And final note: the root business unit can be renamed, as I said previously, and yeah, I think we're just going to move on from there. I wouldn't go too much details into that. So you find time and go through this individual business, creating business unit, that sort of stuff. Now, there are two types of teams, right? You've got the owner teams, and then you've got the assets teams. The owner teams, basically, you can assign a team to a record. So a case can be a team can own a case, right? So if I just open and go to a quotes, you can see here. Let's see, where is our ownership? It's visible. If I just go to a contact, forms might have that visible. So while that's opening, basically your owner team are the original traditional team, and owner teams can have members, and like I said, you assign security roles to that members, and automatically members inherit that security role. Now with assets team, you do not have it's not associated with any specific security rules. It's just defined access to a specific record. So you see on the top here now we've got the owner, and if I come up here, I can I can take on the advanced lookup, and that will bring up another option for me, where I can then see I can either make the team the owner, right? Looking for team, or you can have a user on that record as well. Yeah, so I'm currently obviously the owner of that record. Right, so it's important to understand that the owner as teams can have security role, but the member of and the member of the team will inherit the permission granted by the teams, as I've said previously. But remember that with the access, if I just go to just talk a little bit about the membership, I think you could see there that if you go into security, you can go into teams. You can see all the teams. So if I come here, I already have the I go into settings and I click on where is the security, and I come to teams. I can see all the teams that defaults to local teams. So I want to see all of the teams. This is the only team currently I have. So you can create new teams. And you can define the type here as assets or owner, yeah. And then you can define who the administrator is, and this is where you can then add members, yeah. Add members to. You can only do so if I say sales rep, yeah, administrator. Ollie. So if it's owner team, I click save. Automatically Once it saves it. So now I can then come and add new team member. And when I click on that, I can then search for team members and add them. Once I've done that, I can then come and manage the roles. I can see here, I already have different kind of roles I can assign to the user. So you see your sales insights, admin, sales. This is your sales team member. This is the ones we talked about. Okay. So you can assign it to a team or you can assign it to the user. So I can obviously come here, go to security, click on users, find a specific users. This is on the channel, say all will be, and I can search. Make sure, okay, so let's figure me out. Click on the user, and I can click manage roles, and I can assign security roles for myself here as well. Right. So now that's kind of how you create your owner security role, right? You can see the example there. They're useful for reporting on teams, for example, and owner teams are associated with a business unit. So if they created a team, they're usually associated with business unit, right? The user is in supply. Go back to the security, and I select my teams, and I click on this one here. You can see the business unit is already there, right? Business unit, so I can associate it with the business unit. Right. So moving on. So we run a bit, but it's important to cover this bits. If you want to leave the video, it's been recorded, so you can definitely look over that later on. Access team, right? We talked about access teams. So access teams are typically teams that are used to easily share records and a group with a group of users. So they do not, unlike the owner teams, they do not have roles, right? Cannot own records, right? So just like I created a team. So where were we? Contacts. Now we created one team. Now if I click on here, if I close here, I should have a team. You can see the sales rep team can now own this record, right? Owner, save it. Yeah. So I can. So team member do not have sufficient period to action case. So probably I'm not being given that right, but I can basically manage access to the team as well. Where if I have, see, I've got my sales team there. I can actually share this record with the team, right? If I were to say create new record, team, let me come back here, create an access, create team type is access. Let's say David accounts, right? So these guys only have access to David accounts, the organization, and also only, right? Click save. So because I haven't defined any security rule to that team, that's why I wasn't able to have access to it. To save that contact record, I was trying to assign a user, assign that team as ownership of, right? So this is a test. Doesn't so if I come out of here, go back to my contact record, and I want to share this user. Remember, I don't need to define manage access. I can then say I want to share this to the, what do we call it now? I can't remember. Sales as well. Test. Close this. So go to test room, back to security, change. Sorry, can you mute yourself as you come in, please? Right. So, oh, yes, I didn't. Did I not? Access, all access, user access was David account. So, contact. It's not select person. Advanced. Perhaps I need to give it access. We'll go over that in a bit. But let's run through this PowerPoint real quick. So creating an access team, you could do that within your platform, as well as you could do it within the web client, like I've showed you before. So for the platform, you just go to your setting teams, and you can create new teams as well. You can do that. So you've seen how you've done it within your platform and within the web clients, right? Right. So access teams template. So essentially, access team templates is a dynamic record sharing based on predefined templates. You have the purpose of it is the members of the access team will gain privileges on the record according to the template, and templates are created to define privileges that access team members will have on the record, right? And use cases, of course, is if you need use cases, if you need an ad hoc team. So that's very important for the exams, because they will ask you, why do you need an access team? So what's the difference between the access teams and a potentially access teams and the regular standard team, right? So it's, when you need an ad hoc team, an ad hoc project team, for example, and you need them to collaborate on specific records, then that's what you want to leverage the access team. Right. So access to control is access to records controlled based on the access team template defined privileges, right? Allowing granting access to specific records without altering the security roles of the individual. So it doesn't alter your security roles. It just define privileges that's been defined. Same thing with the ownership. The ownership of the record doesn't change. Whoever owns the record still owns the record, but you just grant you that access to it, right? And it also provides a controlled way to share the records with external stakeholders without modifying security. So that's kind of the access team. And you can see that if you go to the settings, you go to access teams, you can create a new access team. So you see it's got the rights, it's got the roles, access rights there where you can define, and you can select the table as well. You can select which table it's this security, whether it's for sale, whether it's for contract, account, whatever. You can select which entity the template, the security right should be granted to, right? So now I've shown you how to assign security roles to users. So you click on the user, go to the settings, go to security, click on the users. And then you can when you click on the users, you click on managers, and you can assign the users to the salesperson or the different sales security roles, right? Very quickly, we're going to go into the fifth point, which is configuring the sales literature. And the sales literature, think of it as a centralized repository for storing. Think of it as a literature that you need to send to clients and customers regarding maybe your product, pricing terms, your product brochure, that sort of stuff, right? Dynamics 365 Sales allows you a centralized repository to create and to store that, right? Your sales literature is accessible via direct search. So you can do your global search, but you can also directly just go to your sales app and go directly and click on your sales literature. Sales literature is associated with your products, right? providing detailed specification, can also support with marketing campaigns and things of that nature. And it can be viewed in the context of marketing campaigns and the product, like I said before, competitors as well, in the context of a competitor. So all it does is it helps to provide a comprehensive understanding of your resources. Yeah. Now you can send your sales literature as email and directly from your Outlook within your Dynamics as well. So I'll show how to do that in a bit. And then you can access the sales literature options from the sales area in Dynamics, and you can enable the quick retrieval and utilization of the sales collateral. Now, let's just go and see how that looks fairly quickly. So you go to your sales hub, you go in your sales app, you can see it here. You got your sales section, you go under the collateral, you go your sales literature there, right? So I've got test sales literature that could be test, product A instruction, yeah. And I can basically, I create it. I can have sales attachments. I can create actual files, right? So if there are specific documents, you can see I can choose to add files there as well. That'll be the sales attachment if I like. I can associate it with the product and competitors, and then I can send it as an email. So if I just add, there you go, so test attachment. I'm not going to have anything there. Now I can send as an email, and it will then allow me to send it as an email, and it's going to attach it, right? So that's how, you can see that's the attachment is this one here, and I can send it as an email. Yeah. Right. Moving forward. So I've just shown. Well, it's very simple how to create one. Create a sales literature. You basically click on the create when you get in. So when you come in here, you click on. I just go back to my sales literature over here. You create a new. That pops up the title and the subject. The title field is the default is the title field. You can see here. It's essentially you telling us what the title of the literature is, and in the subject you have several default things. You can configure your subjects, right, to contain as many elements of the sales literature. You can define a subject. Now, subject, just think of a subject as a subject, right? And you can configure this on a organization level. I believe you could go, where is it there? So if I go to things, business management, I can come manage my subject here. And you can see I can actually, this is the default bit now. If I wanted to add a new subject and I say product review, right? And I add it, it goes under under here, and I can come back to my sales literature, and I can so if I refresh this cloud, refresh, reload. So I can create a new one, and it should now give me option to now select a new. The default now I can have it's a product review. You can have different type, which is the sales literature, right? Sales literature, and then you can have description, and you can save it. Save. Yeah. So. So it's important to note that the sales literature can be associated with multiple products and competitors, like I've shown before. What else? Okay, so campaigns and sales literature. We did So you can actually associate your sales literature with your campaigns as well, but you have to do it from the context of your campaigns. Sales literature can be linked to your campaigns, and the whole idea is it helps enhance the marketing and sales alignment, right? So it can connect to many sales campaigns. Essentially provides a structured way to relate marketing material to a specific campaign. So it's, you've got it it is an out of the box functionality. It's built in the navigation, allows you to add the sales literature to the campaign, right? And there is a relationship between the sales literature and the campaign activity. So if we go and if you click on campaigns, see whether we have an existing campaign. There's no existing campaign. Inactive campaign, active campaign. So if I just go and create a new campaign, this campaign, save. Yeah, see all the information there. I can come and then add my sales literature. I can see there as well, and create a new one or add an existing one to it. Yeah. And the purpose, of course, is again being able to provide a structured way to relate marketing material to specific campaign. So marketing material, product marketing, that sort of stuff. Yeah. Now, send literature's email, already gone through that, so I would not. So the 6 points, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, configuring hierarchical security. I would go through this fairly quickly as well, because I want to just cover the remaining 3. We're almost done. Hopefully we'll be done in another 10 minutes or so. So configure hierarchical security. Basically, it's Dynamics 365 gives you this hierarchical security control, where you can you can define the visibility of data based on a hierarchical control framework. So use case, of course, is organizations with complex structures and data access requirements. They can leverage not just the out-of-the-box security roles and stuff, but you can also leverage hierarchical data access data access implementation. So, step to configure: you define organizational structure. So you have your your roots business, all the business units. So establish a hierarchy between by defining positions within your organization. So you can see. Excuse me. You've got this user here, Jasper, and to the right here, you can change the Jasper's manager. You can create Jasper, you can add who his manager is, right? So you're defining the position. You can also define position and assign users to that position, right? Sales manager, VP of sales, those kind of stuff. And then you can associate the security roles to specific positions. You can define access privileges and limitations for each of those. So now, in order for you to enjoy or to be able to utilize a hierarchical security, you need to actually enable it, right? And the way to enable it is you go to the settings, you go to security, and you go to hierarchical security. I'm just going to quickly go into that. So here we are, security, once again, security, hierarchical security. You can see here, I can define a manager hierarchy, or I can define a custom solution hierarchy. So, and you see that the depth of that hierarchy is 3. So here we are. So if you wanted to configure one for the managerial hierarchy, so you have to obviously enable the hierarchical model, right? And once you enable it, then you can you can include which tables can be enabled as part of the hierarchical model. And if you want a custom position hierarchical model, you can configure that. Where you can then begin to add positions. So if I can say new position, I can say VP of sales, parent position. See if I have one here, If I don't have one, I can have one here as CEO, right? And let me just create one card, a CEO. Parents doesn't have any parents. Save and close. And then the position, parent is CEO. This is VP of sales, right? I can save. So I've created VP of sales. And then I can basically, you've got, you can then add users to these positions. And you can add existing user, or you can go to a user. So and you can configure the assets, and then if they're VP, you can then go to another user and then change their manager position to whoever is this manager, that whoever has been assigned a higher level position, and that way you can grant a granular access to the actual data point. Yeah, the actual data points. So essentially, you can grant and you can define how much depth you want to go. So let's go back to the point. You can use role-based and data access level. So it's a combination of the actual role assignment as well as your hierarchical base assignment. So you see here, again, you got positions, so you can define the positions. Up here, you can define the hierarchical security, defining the positions, the level of the hierarchy, and so on and so forth. And the whole idea is it helps to maintain data integrity by, obviously if you have complex security, so you have your typical security roles, but then you can also define hierarchical security roles, which leverages managerial as well as positional. Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to show us here, and that's grants us access levels. So if I'm a manager, I can see 2 levels down data. I can read, data. I already explained security role. Each role is linked. Each security role is linked to a business unit, right? And that the roles is inherited from a parent business unit. So if we create a new business unit, it will automatically inherit the roles from the parent business unit, right? And obviously, the user can have multiple roles, and obviously, teams as well can have multiple roles, right? The access level, the access options and the privileges, you can see here, it's important to note this, right? So you have when you define a security role, so this is security role, this is an account manager security role, right? How do you go to security to see all the security roles? You go to security, you go to your settings, of course, and security, and then leave, and then here you have all the security roles. And when let's say we're looking for CEO sales, click on S. We see sales manager, click on sales manager. We can see sales manager security role. We can see all the security role that you have. So this is a core records, for example. If we go and look at the contact, we can see that here as this is create. You can create a contact. You can read a contact on organization level. So you can see this green bit. Right at the bottom, you can see the green means organization. That means you can see all the organization, all the businesses in the organization, the business data, if they have that. If they have that, then that means they can see the child business. They can see the parent as well as the child record, right? But not all the businesses in the organization, just that particular business unit, as well as the children business unit underneath that. They can see that data, right? And the business unit means they can only see for that specific business unit, child business unit, right? And it means that so all of this means they can either create or read or write. Some of the privileges is either or. So like this is either or. Sorry, that's actually a pen too. Sign, and you can see some of the records. So this will be represented. The tables do not have share because they're probably special tables. Yeah. So this is what I'm trying to define here. Let's just bring that up. Where the global access level gives user access to all the record in the organization, regardless of the business unit hierarchical level that that they've been set up with, right? You get everything. the deep one, which gives you a parent-child business, which means that users have deep access automatically, will automatically have local and basic access. So, for example, they will have access to the user's business units, and all businesses subordinate to that user's business, right? And local business just refers to that user-specific business unit, like I said, and the basic one just means the user level. You can only create. So if you have this, if I just go back now and I have a user sales manager security role, if you go to the core records, if I were to change this to that, to one, this is a user level, means I can only create an account that I own, right? I can only create an account that I own. I cannot create an account and assign it to an organization, that sort of stuff, right? So please go around, play with this stuff, play with the sales security, go through all the security rules for the sales, and try and play around with it so you could get a good sense of. We're not gonna have time to go through the questions, so I think we're gonna go to the question in the next time. But I'm gonna upload the PowerPoint immediately after this session, so you can actually go and look at the sessions. And in there, at the very last slide, you've got the element. So we go to the 7th one, which is configuring utilizing the assistant. I'm gonna so basically, the whole idea of configuring the assistant is to help the seller to be able to track their daily actions and communications, and through a collection of actionable insights. So when you configure the insights, the assistant will help you to say, oh, this is what you need to do. You need to call this person, or you need to speak to this person, you need to send an email, or this is a hot opportunity, and so on and so forth. Now, there's two types of forms of assistant, which is the standard assistant and the premium assistant, which is available in Dynamics Sales. So in other words, the standard one is available in Dynamics 365 Sales Enterprise, but the premium one is available in Dynamics 365 Sales Insight, right? What are they? They're pre-packed standard insight cards for daily taxes. The administrator, i.e. will be either yourself or someone who's an administrator in your organization, can customize these cards and how they are shown to the users, right? And you can essentially enable, disable, and customize default cards, right? And as well as you can configure and manage this insight card for standard assistant, right? So similarly, with the premium ones, you have tailor insight for specific teams requirement. So go into it and explore it, and you can learn. But the most important thing is that there are two types, right? The standard assistant, the fact that they're actionable insight that you can configure. They can configure. Now, to configure and manage your standard card, you need to have certain privileges, and you need to be given the access. So privileges required to access the sales insight features are automatically enabled for all out-of-the-box security rules. So, but they initially are disabled for custom roles. So if you create custom roles, then you will not be able to have access to sales insight features, right? So if you've installed a sales trial, you should have access to sales premium. Now, the action cards, the security role, you need to be able to access that. You need to have security rules that allows you to be able to see action cards. If you go to the security core records, so if we go to the, let's say the sales, and you go to core records, you can see that we have action cards here. So you need to be able to have all these privileges before you can actually do something and create the cards. Yeah. Let's go back. Promise you, almost done. So, and as well as the action card user settings. So you need this core privileges before you can actually be able to go ahead and do the configuration. Yeah. So to configure and manage the standard insight, all you need to do is to go to the sales insight settings, right? In the sales hub. Under your assistant, you basically click on insight cards. So let's just quickly do that. So if I come to my sales app, This is my sales app. Right. Okay. So this is my sales. In my sales, I come into my sales insight settings right there. And under it, you see under the assistant studio, I've got my insight cards, and it's telling me to go. So you've got premium, go to assistant studio. So because I've got premiums, I can go straight to my assistant studios, right? So some cards may be on, some cards may be off. So if I wanted to turn certain cards like recent missing, missed close dates, those kind of actionable things, letter due today, I can turn them on. Let's say letter due today or tax due today, this kind of actionable insight, I can basically turn them on and it will automatically turn on for me. Yeah. And of course, you know, if you want to create your own custom one, you can then begin to, you got the templates here, right? So you can actually create from, you know, create insights. You can even leverage Power Automate as well. If there are no updates, you can leverage Power Automate in your creation. So you can turn on and off. Like I said, your insight. Go to your studio. You can turn it on and off ones that you want to be visible, and you can actually you can again come here and turn it on and off, and you can see the you can make it visible essentially. Right, so if I click on edit, I can see how it kind of look like. I can, so this is configured with a flow. So you can go to the you can see here in the card details, you can see what it's trying to, how it kind of looks like, right? And you can see that that's currently on. So obviously, sellers can set their own personal preferences for their sites inside cards. You know, however they want to be able to it to be visible to them. Yeah. And you can as well do the same for the you can configure and manage your inside cards for the premium assistance as well. It's pretty much the same way. So if I move here, you can see as well that you can optimize ranking as well. So you can define rules that define how relevant you know, cards rated to account that is greater than these, that will automate those cards insight and, you know, make them, for example, you see lead rating equals warm. So, you know, that those insights when you're in your lead record, you start to see those kind of insights as cards, right? Right. So, and if you want to do that, of course, for the premium assistant, all you have to do is essentially follow through the same approach as creating. You go to the home assistant studio, and then you just create the cards with the custom made organization. So new card, you know, you can see templates, see more templates, you know. You can create from blank if you want, without going any template, and you can you know, begin to define. So out of the box, you see that it's, you know, it's leveraging Power Automate essentially, and it's using that under the hood. Right, so that brings me to the final bit, which is configuring the business card. If you want to configure a business card, basically you go to your, again, you got, there's two ways to do it. You can go to your advanced settings. You then go to the actual tables you want to customize and customize it that way. Or you can go to your Power Automate, and I think I might have that open here somewhere. Power Automate. So if I come to my design, if I come to my recreate contract, right? So we have it. So if you see here, if I go to my solution, for example, I go and then I'm in my form. I can come in here, which is where the components, and if you don't have the card business in your form, you can basically add it by dragging and dropping it. And now you can configure, what are the data in the table that you need to add, so I can just put something that will map to it, something random, done, and it automatically add my card there. I said, the default, right? I've just added something random, but typically that's how so you can say, I want my first name. So you see is mapping it to the first name, it's mapping it to the last name, and so on and so forth. So that brings us to the end, actually. It's quite an intense one. I'm kind of wrap this in, overshoot the time. I think it's important to, if we want to get this done within 3 weeks, within 7 weeks, we need to kind of wrap it in, and the video is there. You can go back and play around with it and learn some more. Any question from anyone? Now feel free to unmute yourself. Okay, if there's no question from anyone, if you guys don't mind, if maybe I just ask a few questions, and actually, I tell you what, let's leave the question for. We'll leave the question for the next time then. Yeah. Well, first thing we'll do, next session is ask the questions. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of the evening. Shadab, have you got a question?
No, that's okay. We'll.
All right. So first, when we on Saturday, we'll just go straight to asking the questions first thing, and then we'll go to the next session. Yeah. Enjoy your evening, guys. Thanks for being patient and going over. Cheers.
Yeah. Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Cheers. Cheers all.
Bye.